Sulawesi. In the condition of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are always in good health and adhere to health protocols. Distinguished Mr. Professor Ahmad Subagio, expert in agriculture and biological science, professor at the University of Jember, Indonesia. Honorable mention, Mrs. Yumiko Kanemitsu, Regional Evaluation Officer, World Food Program. And also honorable mention, Mr. Andi Darmawan Bintang, co-host and head of Regional Planning of Development of South Sulawesi Province. Dear Ms. Umi Hani, founder of MONEV Studio and partners. And also dear all of participants in the webinar. Background the seminar, ladies and gentlemen, MONEV Studio is the first monitoring and evaluation startup in Indonesia to promote sustainable development, evaluation literacy, and inclusiveness with an interdisciplinary platform to facilitate learning and advancement in development studies, monitoring and evaluation, and policy management. MONEV Studio aims to help the local, national, and regional development community to work together and deliver better services and results for more equal development in Indonesia and the global. In addition to monitoring and evaluating professional network, MONEV Studio's social mission is to broaden the network and contribute to enhancement and advancement of critical thinking, knowledge, and skills of the civil society actors with good literacy about development and how to critically evaluate it. According to the World Food Organization, potential food crisis during pandemic will threaten the world, including Indonesia. Responding to this, according to the head of Indonesian Institute of Sciences, the government has been quick to control the availability of food in Indonesia, although synergies between institutions have been carried out and national food stock is safe. Anticipation needs to be done so that Indonesia can avoid a food crisis, hunger, and malnutrition during the pandemic. To get solutions from the government and experts in the fields of agriculture in anticipating and maintaining food security during the pandemic. Objective of the seminar. In particular, the seminar activity is aimed at increasing the monitoring and evaluation capacity of development stakeholders at the province and district and municipal city of South Sulawesi, achieved through holistic and continuous literacy that include, first, understand policies and good practices in evaluating diversity, sustainability, and food policy. Second, develop monitoring and evaluation ecosystem and peer learning platform for M&A literacy in Indonesian language continuously through the MONEV 4.0 application form. MONEV Studio product to be covered, MONEV 4.0, MONEV Learning, MONEV Podcast, MONEVpedia, Safari MONEV, MONEV Talks, MONEV Institute, MONEV Solution, and so on. Opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, Before we start presentation and discuss, then let us listen to remarks and presentation from the head of Sulawesi Region Provincial Development Planning Agency, Mr. Andi Darmawan Bintang, as well as opening the Safari MONEV 8th seminar today. Then we leave the space and time for the seminar to MC Mbak Ria. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Iwan Febrianto, for your opening. Now, we will invite Mr. Iwan Andi Darmawan, as head of BAPPEDA South Sulawesi, for the opening remarks. About brief talk, MONEV practice in food security in South Sulawesi. Mr. Andi, the time is yours.
Terima kasih. Thank you, moderator. And for information, I would like to speak in Indonesian if you agree. So every member of the webinar will understanding what we say. Terima kasih moderator. Saya akan membacakan sambutan saya dalam bahasa Indonesia dengan harapan bisa dipahami dengan semua teman-teman yang hadir dalam webinar ini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Yang saya hormati Bapak Iwan Febrianto, Head of Social Outreach and Capacity Building MONEV Studio. Yang saya hormati para pembawa materi seminar monitoring dan evaluasi, para peserta seminar monitoring dan evaluasi pemerintah provinsi dan kabupaten, serta hadirin dan hadirat yang berbahagia. Tentu merupakan hidayah dan rahmat bagi kita semua. Pada hari ini kita hadir, diberi kesehatan dan rahmat oleh Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, sehingga kita dapat berkumpul bersama dalam acara seminar monitoring dan evaluasi pada hari ini. Tentu kita merasa terpanggil untuk tetap melaksanakan tugas-tugas kita di pemerintahan meskipun dalam suasana pandemi ini, tetapi keseluruhan atau kesemua tugas-tugas kita harus menjadi bagian untuk menjamin adanya ketahanan pangan atau penyaluran pangan kepada masyarakat khususnya yang ada di Sulawesi Selatan dan Indonesia pada umumnya. Kita juga ketahui bahwa di tengah pandemi ini segala sesuatunya berkembang dengan tidak pasti. Namun demikian perlu kita ketahui bahwa meskipun dalam ketidakpastian itu, tetapi kita tetap harus dapat mempertahankan terutama hal-hal yang itu berkaitan dengan kebutuhan orang banyak, terutama yang berkaitan dengan pangan. Tentu kita sama-sama sadari bahwa dampak COVID ini akan juga menjadi bagian yang akan mempengaruhi suplai pangan maupun ketersediaan pangan, terutama bagi 88,9 juta penduduk yang ada di Sulawesi Selatan. Oleh sebab itu, kerjasama semua stakeholder pembangunan, baik itu pemerintah, masyarakat, lembaga swadaya masyarakat, harus saling bahu-membahu bagaimana kita dapat tetap mempertahankan dan memperkuat ketahanan pangan kita, terutama dalam masa pandemi. Tentu pemerintah telah meneguhkan komitmen untuk transformasi sistem pangan sebagaimana yang tercantum dalam Undang-Undang Nomor 18 Tahun 2012 tentang pangan, yang merupakan kerangka regulasi untuk memastikan terwujudnya sistem pangan yang menjamin ketersediaan pangan, keterjangkauan, dan ketahanan pangan yang berkualitas dan sehat untuk semua orang. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, ketahanan pangan ini memerlukan penanganan secara terintegrasi dari semua stakeholder, antar subsektor, kemampuan kita dari aparatur pemerintah sebagaimana saya sebutkan di atas. Oleh sebab itu perlu dilakukan upaya yang terarah dan terintegrasi untuk mencapai target pembangunan ketahanan pangan dan meningkatkan diversifikasi pangan serta gizi yang ditandai dengan meningkatnya skor pola pangan harapan atau PPH dari tahun ke tahun, serta tidak adanya lagi daerah rawan pangan yang ada di daerah ini. Oleh sebab itu, urusan ketahanan pangan di Sulawesi Selatan tentu merupakan urusan kita bersama, pemerintah pusat, pemerintah provinsi maupun pemerintah kabupaten. Sehingga dengan demikian peranan pemerintah sebagai koordinator dan fasilitator dapat dilaksanakan. Tentu sinergitas, efektivitas, dan efisiensi menjadi bagian utama bagi kita semua untuk mempertahankan penyediaan pangan maupun kualitasnya. Pada kesempatan ini saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya atas nama pemerintah provinsi dan menyambut baik dilakukannya acara seminar monitoring dan evaluasi yang mana pada tujuannya adalah yang pertama agar mampu kita bersama memahami kebijakan dan praktik yang baik dalam evaluasi keanekaragaman, keberlanjutan, dan kebijakan pangan. Yang kedua, terbangunnya ekosistem monitoring dan evaluasi dan peer learning platform untuk literasi MONEV berbahasa Indonesia secara kontinu melalui platform aplikasi MONEV 4.0. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, tentu pemerintah Sulawesi Selatan dalam menghadapi tantangan yang fundamental terutama terkait dengan gangguan suplai pangan dan ketersediaan pangan bagi 8,9 juta jiwa adalah melakukan monitoring dan evaluasi. Pertama, melalui penguatan ketahanan pangan makro secara komprehensif, dan yang kedua, penguatan ketahanan pangan mikro secara komprehensif pula. Apabila penguatan ketahanan pangan makro dilakukan secara komprehensif, maka tentu usaha-usaha yang dilakukan adalah penyediaan pupuk dan bibit, pembangunan pabrik pengolahan padi, pembangunan pabrik yang berkaitan dengan pangan, kemudian cek dam sebagai infrastruktur untuk menyediakan pangan air bagi pangan yang kita lagi kembangkan, bendungan, pompanisasi maupun irigasi, dan pendampingan pemasaran dan manajemen. Sedangkan penguatan untuk ketahanan pangan mikro dilakukan dengan pemanfaatan pangan lokal secara masif terkait dengan misalnya tanaman hortikultura, jagung, ubi kayu, dan sebagainya. Selain itu, pemanfaatan lahan pekarangan marginal juga dilakukan melalui program ketahanan pangan lestari. Hal-hal lain yang kita lakukan adalah penguatan ketahanan makro secara komprehensif adalah mengembangkan pertanian modern melalui pengembangan pertanian keluarga atau family farming pada tahun 2020 di 2 kabupaten, yaitu Kabupaten Bone dan Kabupaten Pangkep, serta pengembangan korporasi petani tahun 2020 yang terdapat di 5 kelompok di Kabupaten Endrekang. Sementara untuk penguatan cadangan sistem logistik dan harga stabilitas pangan, pemerintah provinsi telah melakukan penguatan cadangan beras, baik di tingkat pemerintah provinsi maupun di tingkat kabupaten yang ada di daerah ini. Kesemuanya tentu kita lakukan untuk mengantisipasi gangguan suplai pangan dan ketersediaan pangan yang ada saat ini. Dan tentu sekali lagi kami berterima kasih dengan apa yang dilakukan oleh MONEV saat ini, yang pada akhirnya akan menumbuhkan pemikiran yang baru dalam proses pengambilan keputusan untuk mengatasi problematika transformasi sistem pangan di Sulawesi Selatan. Akhirnya sebagai penutup, saya atas nama pemerintah provinsi sekali lagi mengucapkan terima kasih dan penghargaan setinggi-tingginya kepada PT MONEV Studio Global dan Head of Social Outreach dan Capacity Building MONEV Studio yang telah mengundang saya memberikan sambutan dalam seminar monitoring dan evaluasi ini. Semoga Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, senantiasa membimbing langkah kita semua. Sekian dan terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Andi, for the opening remarks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the main event, we invite Ms. Umi Hanik as founder of MONEV Studio for the moderating. Ms. Umi Hanik is professional in development evaluation who has been working for many bilateral or multilateral organizations in Indonesia for the past 18 years. She holds BA and Master of Economics in Public Policy and pursuing pre-doctoral studies in development evaluation. She is an evaluation expert for large-scale and strategic programs with bilateral and multilateral organizations in Indonesia, such as GIZ, DFED, World Bank, JICA, and UNFPA. She is the founding members of Indonesian Development Evaluation Community Index, board director of Indonesian Pacific Evaluation Association 2017 to 2019, and management members of Evaluator Plus 2017 to 2019. Ms. Umi Hanik, the time is yours.
Thank you, Ria. Bapak Andi Darmawan from South Sulawesi, BAPPEDA, my fellow Bapak Iwan Febrianto from MONEV Studio, Professor Dr. Insinyur Subagio from the University of Jember, Mrs. Yumiko Kanemitsu from WFP Regional Office of Asia Pacific. Bapak and Ibu, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, dan salam kebajikan. Welcome to the 8th MONEV Safari session to learn about how to promote food diversity and sustainability, where we can expect to promote learning from Indonesia and also countries in Asia Pacific using monitoring and evaluation lens. Bapak and Ibu, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to be here with you to contribute to the advancement of South-South learning in evaluation. It is very important to talk and learn with peer evaluators across countries and regions for better evaluation and development practices from time to time. So we have participants from Thailand, from Nigeria, Malaysia, and also from Indonesia. Bapak and Ibu, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, despite of the challenge due to COVID and the economic turbulence, we are glad that we can consistently bring this event to the local government and also the civil society, both in the province and also district city in Indonesia. In our 5-yearly roadmap, we will aim to bring this kind of platform to the university, school, villages, and to the community level, inshallah. Bapak and Ibu, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this pandemic triggered the implementation of policies to limit the operation of public facilities and large scale of social restriction in a number of regions in Indonesia to reduce the spread of the virus, including now due to the Delta variant. So food security are at risk, as mentioned by Pak Andi Darmawan. So I noted some of his concern because this situation has affected the supply of the food chains in Indonesia, particularly on his provinces in South Sulawesi, where evac have some severe impact to 8.9 million of the population in South Sulawesi. So according to his presentation, we see that this is quite challenging because let's see from the farm input. So I noted some here when for instance, the laborers or farmers are not allowed to travel due to the travel restriction. So the farm input like chemicals, equipment, feed, or seeds, as mentioned by Pak Andi, are in short supply. And then how about from the production side? So Pak Andi also mentioned that the production is also declining because of the lack of farmer or laborer who is working, lack of the transport to market or processor. Also, lower productivity linked to the lacking of the farm inputs. So we can learn here that this is quite serious issues. And then how about from the agricultural processing side? Pak Andi also mentioned that production are declining due to the unsafe location for laborers or farmers, the lockdown evac, lack of the supply or transportation to the market. And how about the transport and the trade itself? The supply chain is lacking because producers, traders, consumers are not allowed to travel now. Restrictions are here and there. Fresh products more affected than the processed food. Then this is also affected to how we consume, right? because of the reduced supply of the fresh product, food availability are at risk in the supply chains. Reduced food access due to reduced income and also increased food price. Diet are changed now. For instance, the people with diabetic issues, can be a very challenging. So now, due to the new patterns of food utilization, the preference of the people is use more frozen over fresh food. This is also may impacting to, nutrition and may affect to the health outcome. So because this impact of the pandemic is quite severe, perhaps we are clueless. And this is also because this is our first time experience. Therefore, I think we all agreed that we all gather here to learn so we can learn from the past experience, from the past evidence, the history to inspire each other to work better with new knowledge and better skill in food security for the better future through evaluation. So for this purpose, Bapak Ibu, we are proudly bring two experts in the sector here. So now let me introduce to the first expert, Mrs. Yumiko Kanemetsu. Yumiko, please turn on your video. Bapak and Ibu, please greetings to Mrs. Yumiko. She's originally from Japan, but she's based in Bangkok now. Mrs. Yumiko is the Regional Evaluation Officer for the Regional Bureau of Asia and the Pacific of the United Nations World Food Programs. So I've been meeting her several times in the international conference, but also in the regional event. So she's very active in the evaluation field. So she's been supporting 18 countries' office in the region, including Indonesia, in conducting decentralized evaluations. The main evaluation topic interest is the Sustainable Development Goal number 2, which is related on the effort to combating the hunger, including school feeding, nutrition, humanitarian aid, and climate change and resilience. Prior to joining WFP, she's been working with the UN Women. So she's also expert in women and children issues. And her recent interest is in evaluation facilitation using visual and also design thinking to accelerate the achievement of SDGs. So perhaps she may also want to share some of her works later today. She is interested in using technology and also innovation testing in various tools and methods. Yumiko will share about the evaluation conception, framework, and also measures to ensure food security and sustainability. And then we will have, thank you, Yumiko, and then we will have an insight from Indonesia policy perspective by our national expert, Professor Ahmad Subagio here. Please turn on, you already turned on your video. So Professor Subagio is also well known as Professor of Cassava or Professor Singkong. Very unique name. And he is an expert in agriculture, and also because he is an expert in cassava, and also founder of the some initiative which include the cassava product utilization. He is also an expert in biofood science and the professor from the University of Jember. Professor Ahmad Subagio profile is very interesting. He is also the initiator of the manufacture of MOCAF, a modified cassava flour, where a flour processing with the basic ingredient of cassava. He is also the founder of the MOCAF factory in East Java, and also served as the head of the Institute for Research and Community Service at the University of Jember. He graduated from the bachelor degree in agriculture from the University of Jember, a master and doctoral degree from Osaka Prefecture University. Also several expert degree in industrial biotechnology and food science, biotechnology and post-harvesting, and food and nutrition. Bapak and Ibu, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, just a little housekeeping before we get started. So if you have any question during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your Zoom chat. And later I will bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have time for questions and answer at the end. So Bapak and Ibu, now without further talk, we will turn the mic over to the first panelist, Mrs. Yumiko. Please, the mic is yours for 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Remy. Hope you can hear me well. I have a problem with microphone today. So can you hear me well?
Yes, very clear.
Good.
Very clear. Yeah, thank you.
So thank you, Umi. My name is Yumiko Kanemis. So Umi just introduced me. I'm Regional Evaluation Officer for WFP, Regional Bureau for Asian Pacific. In my current function, I've been initiating a new organizational design to produce high quality evaluations and enhance organizational efficiencies and effectiveness. So this includes sort of establishing a new decentralized evaluation functions and the quality assurance for SDG 2 areas. So this includes the development and implementation and review of regional evaluation strategies and providing input to enhance evaluation capacity of staff and government in Asian Pacific. And also covers the supervising and coaching the ME officers in 18 countries in this region. So I'd like to share WFP's experiences on monitoring evaluation of food security and nutrition in Indonesia, and as well as the good examples in Asian Pacific. And today I'm going to talk about India. So I'll just stay on the first slide. So objectives, the previous one. Yes. So I'd like to share the methodologies and findings and recommendations of WFP Indonesia food security nutrition reviews, and then challenges in terms of monitoring evaluations, and also how to improve the monitoring evaluation systems, example from WFP India and the government of India. So next slide, please. So this is the review I'm talking about. So WFP Indonesia's food security and nutrition review, 2019 to 2020. And I included an internet, the website. So please have a look at this review. So this report is an update of the 2014-2015 strategic review. It was initiated in August 2019, and it was extended until July 2021 to cover the initial impact of COVID-19 pandemic on food security and nutrition. So then what's the latest discourses and emerging issues, including impact of COVID-19 pandemic. So number one, it's include update on the food security and nutrition status in Indonesia. And number two are analyzing the latest development in policies and programs. And number three, potential impact of COVID-19 and conclusions, recommendations. And this was mainly used as secondary sources. So I'm going to talk about situation analysis briefly. So Indonesia has made a significant and important progress in improving the food security and nutrition. But still the challenges remains. First, the increases in the production of most food commodities, especially rice, have not caught up with the increase in consumption. So this persistent dependency on rice import could threaten the food security during the crisis. And then also insufficient consumption is declining, but 21 million people still have a calories intake below the minimum dietary requirement. So the poverty and the high food prices are major challenges. Then also number three, third point is that food consumption patterns is very much carbohydrate continues to dominate the food intake. And insufficient consumption of sources of protein, fruits and vegetables, and the increasing trend in processed food consumption in both in rural and in urban areas. And even though the prevalence of stunting, low height for age, underweight for wasting, so low weight and for height among children under 5 is actually declined since 2013. The level of undernutrition is still high by international standards. So in addition, the prevalence of overweight and obesity has steadily increasing among children 6 to 12 years old especially, and adolescents and adults. But evidence also suggests that micronutrient deficiency prevails. But the thing is that data has not been collected for micronutrient for many years. So Indonesia is facing triple burdens of malnutrition, in which undernutrition is coexistence, and with the overnutrition and the micronutrient deficiencies. So next slide, please. And then findings and recommendation in terms of food availability, food access, food utilizations, and nutrition. So the policy analysis highlights the significant progress, but as well as pointing out some policy gaps. Challenges in increasing and diversifying food production that can support nutritional improvement towards more balanced diet. And increasing rice production has not been able to meet the government's ambition to significantly reduce the import dependency. And it comes at the expenses of less than sufficient effort to increase the production of fruits and vegetables, and as well as sources of plant and animal protections, but with the exception of fish. So the Indonesian government needs not only the increased productivity of the food commodities, but also give more supports to the production of more diversified range of food commodities. So there is also a further acknowledgement of the women's roles in the agriculture needed. So in terms of food, access to food, significant progress in the development of social protection schemes as a vehicle to ensure sufficient access to food for poor and vulnerable populations. This is important as the prices of various food commodities, particularly rice, is high. And there has been initiatives undertaken by the government of Indonesia to make social protection schemes more nutrition sensitive. There are some implementation constraints that still need attentions, particularly in improving the quality of the social welfare beneficiaries database for better targeting, and then also further enhancement of the nutritional sensitivity, both regular protection and social assistance providing during the disaster and the crisis situation such as now. So in terms of food utilization, the Indonesian government needs to ensure that children and pregnant and lactating women, mothers, can have access to basic health services, especially those villages, health posts and community health centers. And then the last point in terms of nutrition, to prevent and increase in wasting and stunting and during the COVID-19 crisis, the government needs to expand the provision of the supplementary food, such as fortified biscuits, to help children and pregnant and lactating mothers from vulnerable groups. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about the challenges in monitoring evaluation, since this is the group of the learning monitoring evaluation. So the first point is the data is particularly stunting focus. So stunting data is collected, but micronutrient data has not been collected for many years. And methodologies for the micronutrients has not been well established or standardized. So this is our first point. And the second is the quality of social welfare beneficiaries database for better targeting and enhancement of nutritional sensitivity of both regular protection and social assistance provided during the disasters crisis situations. So then different ministries have a different database system. And so the coherence and consistency has been the challenge. And then also another point is institutional arrangement. So the latest approaches of assisting the leadership on improving nutrition under the vice president is intent to strengthen the coordination efforts, particularly related to stunting. However, the effort to link the production and access and utilization the sides of food security with the nutrition improvement efforts requires more attention. So the fact that the various related authorities in food security and nutrition sensitive services are in the hands of district government requires concentrated efforts to translate central level policies into effective local level actions. So in this regard, the latest government approach to implement the regional targeting and focusing on the integrated approach to targeted districts and villages could potentially produce more effective results. So then lastly, the next slide. So I was speaking to Umi before this conference, and then also people were interested in the learning from the other countries, especially in the same region, and where is good examples. So today I'd like to talk about how to improve the monitoring evaluation systems, a good example of Government of India and WFP India country office, how we work. So WFP India country office and has been supporting the government of India in building a monitoring evaluation capacity with the government of India. So it's a national evaluation capacity building. So firstly, the WFP staff is located in the Development Monitoring Evaluation Office. It's called DMEO, and it's attached to the Office of National Institution of Transforming India. And then WFP staff is located in the office as a technical staff, and he works with the government officials on day-to-day basis. And also what we're doing is development of national evaluation policy. So the latest update is sharing the country best practices on evaluation systems, different countries, and learning from the country practices and incorporating as part of DMEO's organizational strategic paper. And then also we're trying to standardize monitoring evaluation guidance and tools across the ministries, sharing in WFP's tools and guidance and apply them when conducting evaluations. And also we organize a training and seminar for the government officials with external speakers. So the development evaluation curriculum and competency framework for government officials. We have recently organized a seminar together, such as monitoring evaluation, vulnerability assessment in food security and nutrition, and also how can government benefit from visual thinking in evaluations and take away from India. And we write the blog together with the government of India. And that on the website, I included the YouTube link where you can see the video we created with government of India, how to use the visualization and design thinking in the evaluation. And also organizing international seminars together, such as recently we had a conference and it's called GLOCA with the FAO-led conferences, and also national evaluation capacities and conferences and exchange and generate knowledge, new methods and lessons learned together. So we also conduct joint studies on food security and nutrition. Joint review of flagship National Food Security Act of India is underway. 2 research consultants on board and to support these initiatives. And then also when we conduct the evaluation, it is more country led. So the government will take the main role of conducting evaluations. And so the WFP provide the technical support, but they manage the evaluations. So it's more country level evaluations. Otherwise, it's a joint evaluations. So these are the examples. Yes. So this is my presentations, and that give the floor back to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yumiko, for sharing interesting experience both in Indonesia and also in India. So the next is we will have some insight from Professor Dr. Ahmad Subagio. So Pak Subagio, the floor is yours now for around 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Bumi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank the committee of this program, especially Bu Ani and Pak Iwan, who invite to the very valuable meetings. And let me share my screen first. Okay. Wait a minute. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay.
Pak, perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you. So today what I would like to talk is about food diversification. Of course, I am a lot of talking about food diversification, and some people said to me that I'm talking a lot, not only a lot, but too much. I think food diversification is very important because it's sustainable development strategies. So through food diversifications, the people can explore the resources, the local resources surround them, and also provide them so many things about, especially food. And also, of course, if we explore our surrounding national local resources, so we can increase the national food security and also equitable welfare. And before we start, let me show the data on Australian government. We can see in here that the rules of agriculture in Australian for a gross domestic product is only 3%. It's quite small, but although very small, it increased significantly through increasing the value chains. It's become 12%. So the meaning is that the government of Australian very focused on how to increase the value chain of the agriculture product, so they can gain a lot of economic potencies on it. And how about Indonesia? Indonesia, totally we have about 14% shares, 13 point something, 0.7 to gross domestic product in 2020. And also this one is only the raw materials, not including the processing one. And then although in pandemic time, the growth is still very good, 2.95%, which is compared with the others is negative. So the meaning is that agriculture have very good rules for economic condition in Indonesia. But unfortunately, our government is still not so concerned about agriculture. We can see in the speech of our president, Pak Jokowi, at 16th August, he said that they will provide many fund for many budget for agriculture, but unfortunately, when we check the budget for 2020, it will be decreased about 27% compared with 2020. So the meaning is that government not so much concerned on the development of agriculture. And back to the current situations on COVID-19 pandemic, Ms. Umi already explained about there's some problem with the logistics limitations, movement, and also people movement. So of course they will affect so many things. And then according to data of World Bank, situation right now, the crisis is not only for health and economic conditions, but also commodity crisis. So we can see global price right now on the wheat flour increase about 30%. And for rice, global price increase about 12%. So the meaning is that pandemic drives a very big impact on the food security of Indonesia. And here we can see the Guardian, yeah, that they report that many people, poor people, have problem for access of work and food in Indonesia during the pandemic. So it's mean that the pandemic gave a very bad impact to food situation in Indonesia. And okay, let's back to the situation of the consumptions. Now, according to data that national food culture moving to homogeneous, it means that people only eat a few commodities. Not so many people eat many variant foods. So it will be drive many things, including the volume of some few commodity increase very significant. And the increasing of a big number of volume will make that our situation is very shock vulnerable. Because it's like, okay, if there is some war in the South China Sea, so it's mean that our import from Thailand and also from Vietnam will be stopped. So if such thing problem, so the meaning is that the availability of food in Indonesia is very vulnerable. And of course, because of the community is rice, and we know that the rice production cost is very high compared with the other commodities. We have to make watering and also many infrastructure needed to increase the productivity of rice. So the meaning is that rice is very high cost, and every single kg of rice we have to pay about 20,000 rupiah. Although the price right now is 10,000 rupiah. So the meaning is that government subsidize about 10,000 rupiah per kg. And of course, it will give impact on poverty because the price of food is very high in Indonesia. So according to the data from the Bureau of Statistics, we can see in here that mostly very poor people will spend about 4 until 1/3 of their income to buy rice every day. So it means that rice give very significant impact for the poverty. And it's because the food habit uniformity increased very significantly in each year. So according to our data that at 1945, the rice only about 53.5% for the consumption, but right now it's about 87% increase so many. And here is the consumption conditions of our food. So we can see in here that the rice is also the ratio of rice and then the corn and then also cassava, not so much change. It means that all effort conducted by government will not give very significant impact. And of course, because of our population is very high, and also all people eat rice, very few commodities, and then the import volume of Indonesia increased significantly, and we are a net importer. The meaning is that we still need rice, we still need wheat flour, we still need maize, cassava, and also soybean from other countries. And the situation is very, very bad for our countries. Okay, what happens that homogeneity occurs in our situation? It's because our government policies and also program. Say like this is one example during Mr. SBY presidents, we have a program is called Raskin, yeah? Raskin, Rice for Poor People program. And because that program will provide rice for the poor people. So say like in Lagor, Maluku Tenggara, which is mostly people eat cassava, and because the Rice for Poor program, all people have rice in their kitchens. What happens is that people are not plant cassava, and the price of cassava rising very, very highly in that time. So what happened is that because the price of cassava is very high, so not many people will eat cassava again. They change to rice. And in that area, it's not produce rice. They produce cassava because the land is very hard to produce rice. So it's mean they have to import from South Celebes and also East Java and also Nusa Tenggara for rice. This is a very bad situation for us. And also, we have also some problem with the assumptions of people about the rice. They said that the rice is better if white, and rice is better if fluffy, and rice is better if have a very good smell. This is a very bad assumption because all of that three problems will create very bad condition for our health. So that's why so many people now have diabetic because of this problem. They eat a lot rice, and the condition of rice, which is consumed by them, is very not so good condition. And here is the reasons why the diabetic is increased very significantly. It's because if we eat rice, yeah, it's only about 3-4 hours, all of rice will become sugar, and that sugar will be absorbed by our gut and come to our blood. So the increasing of sugar concentration in our blood is very rapid, and then that will create diabetic. And also about tempeh. So when someone asks what is tempeh, they always say that that one is a fermented soybean. Actually, that one is wrong. The truth is that tempeh is processed, not the product. So all of all of raw materials fermented by rhizopus is called tempeh. So because such kind of problem, so now our demand of soybean increase also very sharply. So this is also our problem. And then here are our calculations about the production cost. I calculate at 2011 at that time, that every single rice need about 7,000. Now it's about 20,000, as I said before. So this problem also create exclusive agricultural development. What it mean? It means that the government only very focused on fertile land. They only focus very fertile land, but in marginal land, they don't have some program. So what happened is that development, agricultural development, only happen in the very good area. So urbanizations, people will flood to the cities, to the other countries because of in the marginal area doesn't have agriculture development. So this situation is very bad for our future. And you can see in here that the data of our land, which is marginal land, is very big. We have more than 39 million hectares of area which is still unused. And here is some potentials which is possible to plant in the area which is marginal land. So we have cassava, we have sargu, we have corn, we have sweet potatoes and others thing. And here I take the picture from Luwu, South Celebes, which is now we concern. And also South Celebes also have potencies on plantain. Plantain is also very good for our food actually. And here also we have many potential underutilized crop in Indonesia. We have lengkir, we have also hotong, which is a very endemic one, and then but till now no concern about such kind of plant. And okay, let's talk about one commodity which is still underutilized. As we said, underutilized till now is cassava, underutilized on food, I mean. Okay, we have so many cassava, and then according to many scientists, that source of the woods, the word bioresources, we have carbohydrate and oil. All of those two items is in Indonesia. We have cassava, we have 20 metric ton per year, and also we have palm oil, which is oil, about 43.5 million ton per year. The meaning is that bioresource is very important for our economic condition actually. So if we concern only these two commodities, so it will be boost our economic. And here is the production, productivity, and also export-import of the cassava. And according to this data, that our productions of cassava decreased significantly. So in this year, we are #1 in the world for playing rules for cassava trading. But unfortunately, right now, we net import. So we net import of cassava. This condition is very bad. And here, the industrial route of the cassava, we can see in here that many kind of product actually can be produced from cassava. So our life always consists of cassava actually. And according to our calculation that in every year, we have about 100 trillion rupiah per year for trading of the cassava and its products. And say like tapioca and oil drilling also consists of cassava. Paper applications and plywood industry, textiles, and also pharmacy. So many things, but mostly of those modified stuff is imported. So we are right now is net import because of lack of the technologies. So you can see in here that we are decreased significantly, but Thailand take over, and also Vietnam, and also the other countries. And in here actually is a Europe trading system, but since 2000, changing to East Asia trading system. So we can see in here that cassava can be grow very well in the marginal area, although in coastal land, no problem. And also in the coal mined land, also a very good condition. And you can see in here that many effort actually already done by some people that so the cassava can grow very well in the marginal area. This is in Nusa Tenggara Timur, and then we can plant cassava with maize and provide food for the communities. But the problem also that the perception of people again cassava is very bad. So according to the data that poor people will spend a lot of money to buy cassava compared with the rich people. So it's mean it's food for poor. So what we have to innovate, we do that we change the perceptions of the cassava through the technologies. We create a product, it's called modified cassava flour, which is we can produce so many things from cassava, noodles, and also many bakeries, and also meat products. We can produce by using MONEV. So what is MONEV? MONEV is cassava flour processed by fermentation using lactic acid bacteria. And here is the examples. From here, we can see that the difference between on the commonly flour and the MONEV. And here the functional properties of the MONEV. So these properties is very useful for industrial purpose. And here is the MONEV applications. Main ingredient, we can substitute the wheat flour with the MONEV, and also tapioca we can substitute, rice flour, and also using for improver. So right now we also study to substitute the potato starch with MONEV. So MONEV have healthy aspects. So it's gluten-free and rich of fiber and easy for fortification. And here is the data shows that MONEV and also cassava flour very good for the diabetic people because of its resistant starch, and also this data. And you can see that cassava content of anti-cancers, so because of vitamin B17. And here is our strategy to develop the local food that commercialization must be done through innovation. So we create many factory processing from the home factory and also SME and also bigger factory. So we provide the technologies, and also we provide the halal pepton for it to make the halal product for MONEV. Here is the halal certificates, and also cassava is very good also for feed. We have a project with Asia to use cassava as a feed. And here is in the Nigeria, we have to learn cassava from Nigeria. In Nigeria, people say that no cassava, no power. So the meaning is that if not eating cassava, so it means they don't have a power. So it's very stable, very good stable food actually. And we can see that because cassava content of many calcium, so we can see in here how high the Nigerian, very big and high. So because of content of calcium. And here is our strategies for the on-farm productions. Of course, in the first is a food estate, yeah, government on food estate. And then also we also now involve people to create their own food store. And then through we call yard gardening and urban farming. So to that one, we will provide food for the people. And then here, I will show you that something important actually that we have to do, that government should create something like situation which is can change the behavior or the food habit of our people. So we can see in here that in USA, government always divide how people eat gandum, eat wheat flour, and also eat corn. So American people not only eating gandum, eat wheat flour, but also eating maize. So because of that one, they can import wheat flour a lot. And say, including Vietnam. For Vietnam, we see that commonly people eat bihun. Bihun is Singapore noodles. That Singapore noodle is made from rice. Of course, it's rice. But if we eat bihun, Singapore noodles, so it means that we eat the whole whole grain of the rice, no wasting. But right now, Indonesian only eat cooked rice, isn't it? And then boiled rice. So what happened is that it's about 20% of the grain will lost because of that one. But for Vietnam, because they eat bihun, so whole grain will be used. And here is some, I think that, okay, let's compare. People eat rice with tempeh and cassava with, say, like egg, one egg. The price is same, but people will choose eating rice with tempeh. Yeah, we can see in here. People will choose here this thing, but they will reject this one. But according to our data, that actually egg has very good score of amino acid compared with it's called soybean. It's only 47. So it's mean that because of that food habit, so we have lesser nutrition every day, but we have to pay in the same price. And of course, we have to push government to have a program to change the behaviors and also the habit for the people to eating so many things, not only in one or two commodities, a source of nutrition. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Ahmad Subagio, for sharing very interesting insights from the Indonesia context. So I think we come to the question or discussion sessions. Bapak and Ibu, if you have questions in mind, please raise your hand, or you can also type in the chat box. Meanwhile, I will read some of the questions here. So Professor Subagio already shared his thought about, so his thought about to what extent is actually Indonesia learn from the past experiences or history to be able to tackle food security and sustainability, including from the latest policy that related to the food estate. And also Yumiko share her reflection on the Asia Pacific context, including her observation in the Indonesia context about how is actually the conception, also the M&E implementation in Indonesia, which is she noted some important points, like for instance, to focus on the stunting aspects. I was actually involved in some of the effort in developing the M&E system for the stunting. So this is actually quite interesting, Yumiko. And also Professor Subagio, so we have questions here to both of you. one question on how is actually to influence the aspect in the outcome area, because according to Professor Subagio explanation that actually the availability of food variety is in place, right? We have so many variation of food, but how actually to influence the change behavior in food consumption, right? Because in Southeast Asia countries, not only Indonesia, I believe that mixed variety of food is quite rich. Even what I understand is, for instance, even though we have so many food variation, but rice consumption is very high. Yeah, rice consumption is very high. Even I'm not sure about the latest data, Professor Subagio, but what I understand is the food consumption is twice or double the global export volume, right? So this is quite interesting, considering what you already presented. Please, perhaps we can address that question first. Thank you.
Thank you. Yumiko first.
Yeah, actually, I found the professor's discussions very interesting. So I was thinking a question to him, but yes, but one thing that Umi points out, the stunting. Yes, I'm not a nutrition specialist. I'm evaluation, so I can't give what's the understanding for nutrition. But for what I understood, that the stunting has been the indicator for nutrition, indicator for a long time, and it is still the important element. But as a professor also explained that the micronutrient is the issue, right? So not only, but we in the international standard often focus on stunting too much, but the point is that how to measure micronutrient methodology is not well established. According to my colleague, that they're going to use the World Bank standard for micronutrient, but there's a lot of issues in applying it. And yeah, so it's quite complicated issues and measuring micronutrients. Yeah, over.
Okay, thank you, Yumiko. Perhaps we can elaborate later. If you have any question, you can also address directly to Professor Subagio. Yumiko, feel free. Professor Subagio, please.
Yeah, thank you. Very good questions. So actually, the food habit is affected by many kinds. One is education. Education means how far people understand about food, nutrition, and all, and also affected by the personals, including health, and also conditions of their spirit, something like that, including also religions, and then also influenced by the family. So say like if one family, the father or the mother eat like spicy thing, so the children also eat spicy thing. So it's mean that that's three things can be modified only by the education. So we have to make something like a program or curriculum for the food schools, curriculums, food subject from kindergarten, primary, and also juniors like schools to drive them understand about what is food, how they can eat it, and how they can prepare, how they can get good food, the healthy aspect, and also the safety. So that's a program, of course, it will take time. Take time, but we have to do that one. Say, okay, we remember about the wheat flour. Yeah, wheat flour. Now we consume about totally about 12 million ton per year. It's a lot of number of import wheat flour. And then it takes about more than about 40 years. So start from about 1970s. In that time, there's a program from the USA provide food for the poor peoples. And then the president over President Suharto take that aid from USA. And then from that one, so we start learn about what is wheat flour. I remember that at 1980s, not so many people want to eat wheat flour, but now all people eat wheat flour. So it takes time. And then I believe that one we have to do that one. If we do that one, so we can say like modify the people and the way of people eating. And from that one, we can also calculate how many ton, how many volume of rice needed, how many cassava we have provide for 40 years. So when we can predict that one, so it's mean how many land we have provide for rice, how many hectares land for the cassava and corn and so on. So we have to do that one. But right now, no such program. It's mean that it's a very wide assumption from government. Till now, we don't have program for the long term. So there is our conditions. Still me.
Okay, thank you, Professor Subagio and also Yumiko. So the next question is we have to, Professor, how about the use of the, actually the implementation of the monitoring and evaluation itself? Because you mentioned that actually some effort is already in place, partially perhaps, some are not yet. For instance, how is actually the education institution put in the curriculum to ensure that the change behavior in food consumption is really there at the end, right? So how about the role of the, I don't know, perhaps the academia and also perhaps the government, national actors, or also the local actors? Is there any, you know, like standard or guideline to monitor? For instance, I don't know, managed by the Ministry of Agriculture or the other institutions. Yeah.
As Yumiko-san said that data is very important. So first of all, we have to make sure that data is perfect. So until now, we don't have good data on the production or the consumption side. So again, through that one, we have to make some effort on monitoring and evaluations from the aspect of how government create the program. So from the monitoring aspect, we can obtain data, isn't it? And from that data, we can create a program. And from the program, we back again to make evaluations, the effect of program to the situations. So sort of thing right now, not so many done by government. So projects always runs itself. It means that, say like, okay, we have a project to give tractors to the farmers. Just give the tractors. How about the impact? No monitoring and evaluations. This is the problem. So lack of monitoring and evaluations will give very significant impact on the program itself. And the data which is coming out from the government always said the program running very well, good result, blah, 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 blah. But actually on the ground, we don't know exactly, because no MONEV, MONEV on that program. So that's why I believe that MONEV is very important to make sure that all our program we're running very well and can solve the problem in the ground, not only in the sky or something.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Subagio. So the next following questions will be, who do you think, or which institution do you think will serve as sufficient institution to enhance this monitoring and evaluation to ensure food security and highlighting the importance to take up on the diversity in food consumptions. And the next question is from Yumiko. So she started to take lots of tempeh, and many people believe that it is a healthy product. So can you please explain further about the shortfalls of tempeh, Pak? Perhaps some of the negative issues, because it is also believed that tempeh is also part of the processed food. And also, why rice dependency on import is very high? Could it be possible to increase rice production in the country? And then the next questions. One of the problems faced in Indonesia now is to ensure that food production is safe to be consumed, and how and to what extent is actually the society equally can access those food securely. So this is raised by Ibu Aziz from Sulawesi.
Okay, thank you. Very good question from the audience, I think. So talking about tempeh, as I said before, that tempeh actually made by Javanese. Again, Javanese. Not all Javanese and Sundanese, of course, but Sundanese is not so much. They have oncom, they have different fermented food. And then tempeh, the meaning of tempeh is processing using rhizopus. So all of materials which process using the fermentation, that's fermentation is called tempeh. So in ancient days, we have so many tempehs. We have not only soybean tempehs, we have corn tempehs, we have non-oilseed legume tempehs, we have also even coconut tempehs, everything we have it. But we don't know, some agendas, I think, from United States, I think, they promote that soybean is healthy, and we focus on it. So what happened is that in Indonesia, soybean cannot grow very well because actually soybean is a plant of subtropical plant. Indonesia is tropics. So of course our productivity is very low. We only 1.6 ton per hectares, compared with in the US is a 4 ton per hectares. So what happened that our production cost of tempeh is much higher compared with USA. So of course we will buy the import one because of the price, isn't it? So again the farmers will lose. And about the healthy aspect, of course, tempeh is very healthy because it will provide many vitamins, vitamin B, including vitamin B, and also many anti-cancers from the soybean, also from the fermentation process. So that one is a very good thing. And tempeh actually is minimal processing. So it's mean not so much nutrition will lose, but of course will increase, not only a loss, but will increase and provide something like a good we call functional nutrition which have a good effect on for our health, including cancers and also degenerations process, everything. Through fermentation will provide short polypeptide, which is very good for our health. So again, eat tempeh is no problem at all. The problem is we import the soybean. That isn't the problem. Okay, and then rice production. in the current situation, current condition, of course, we still have probability to increase the rice production, but not through the intensification in the increase of productivity, but through very small, we call the extensifications. So we make wider the field, the paddy field. But the problem is that to create very good rice field, it takes about more than 15 years. So again, I repeat my statement. To create very good rice paddy field, take about 15 years. It's not easy. So it means that we will stagnate in some methods. That one is first. And the second is that right now, the change of functions of the land is very, very high. So rice field right now become, especially in Java, become factories and become highway and becomes including housings, everything. So it means that the very good rice field decrease significantly. And if such conversion happen, not only about the weight of rice field will decrease, but also affect the other is affect the productivity, because if conversion happen, the the rice field which is still in there will have problem to access the water. The watering system will stop because the primary irrigations will have a problem, everything. So the watering will stop. So it means also the productivity in that remain area, rice field will decrease. And then the third one, it will also affect on the cost of production, because the access route come to the rice field will broken. Will broken because of no access route. So the farmer have to pick up by hand and send to the main road to have next transportation. Of course, that one is cost. So this is the very bad situation, I think. We still have optimism, but the situation is very bad. And about food safety, okay, this is the current situation. We have a problem on food safety because of people want to eat with a low price. You know, our income is like this, but the price of rice is like this. And then what happened is that people demand to eat the cheap rice, the cheap food, and then they don't care about how to care and how to handling the food, and that one will make a problem on the safety. Something happened also with pesticide residue. So I think we already have data on the neonatal death, neonatal death, and also neonatal something, I don't know English, but cacat, what it's called, disability or because of neonatal. So according to our data, but this and I cannot publish because it's very sensitive thing. According to our data, that such of number happen in the area which has rice field, very high rice field, intensive rice field, because of using pesticide. So increasing of pesticide application will drive the residue, and the residue will affect such kind of thing. and that isn't the problem. So our food safety is also a very bad situations. That's
Thank you, Professor Subagio. So the next question is, and also we would like perhaps to have Professor Komarajaya to briefly share his thought, perhaps. Komara, because Professor Komara is also the head of the urban studies from the University of Indonesia. He is also the former deputy from the Ministry of Economic Affairs. So he has some questions. When in your thinking Indonesia will become a net exporter of cassava? And also some questions. So perhaps we want to listen to his reflection for Professor Komara. Could you please turn on your mic and
thank you, Mbak Umi. Hi guys, I'm very interested in monitoring and all of the development aspect, especially on today's discussion on food. But I'm a bit, what should I say, really worrying about the competitiveness of Indonesian production food after listening to Professor Subagio. I don't know. I think Professor Subagio can share with us also on the market forces playing very, very strong, especially its global production base in neighboring countries, especially Thailand, Vietnam, and so on and so on. And it's also a big player like US and probably China. Can you, Professor Subagio, share with us if this happen? Do you think the Indonesian situation will kind of come to the difficult position? I've been sometimes in Japan. I think Japan, although the industrial base is very, very strong, and now is on robotics strong, but on the agriculture-based economy, I think they are very, very good. Which is, say for example, rice. They don't even, they just eating their own rice. Although the land is very, very limited, but the productivity of the land and also the Tataniaga, what is that? On the domestic trade regulation is very, very
system.
System is pretty good. So creating the local farmer is a lot of gaining comparing with Indonesia. Now I'm sorry, I'm just actually would like to listen the whole situation on monitoring aspect, but food is to some extent is I'm a bit worried. Sorry, this is personal actually. Thank you, Mbak.
Thank you, Professor Komara.
Yeah.
Actually, your concern is very relevant for our discussion today.
Thank you.
Professor Subagio and also Yumiko, please share your response. Thanks.
Yumiko-san.
My response.
Yeah.
So not monitoring evaluation, I mean more about agriculture. So what should I say more? Yeah. Just like Professor Subagio said that the creating systems and so the evidence-based policy needs some more effort, right, for the system. So I think, we don't have really the system in the, I have to say in many developing, I don't say in Asian countries, we don't have a proper national monitoring evaluation system, not only the agriculture, nutrition, but so then our efforts so far, for instance, the example in India, the WFP used to be the food distribute. But now the government take up the old scheme, and they all are operated under government scheme. So the WFPs are set back from the just distributing food, but we give the technical support only to the government, and the government does the social program. And for that, what does it mean is that the government has to do the monitoring evaluation too. You see, that's the paradigm shift. So that's why I use the example of India. So then the WFP's programs also, we monitor, evaluate what accountability for the WFP, but we trying to change it more to the building the capacity of government, civil societies, and people who are accountable for their own country's system. So we call it more capacity development. So we shift them on monitoring evaluation more to that direction. And that we hope that Indonesia also then reaching middle income countries and the big economic growth countries. So for that, this should be monitoring evaluation system has to be aligned that too, right? So we hope that the next phase we can support more to the creating the government system and more to the capacity building side of it. Okay, so over.
Okay, thank you, Yumiko. Professor Subagio, please. Your mic is mute, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Komara. Very good questions, and also not only good, but very difficult question, I think. And then, yeah, this one is also including the MONEV, yeah, benchmarking, one of aspect in MONEV. We can make benchmark to our neighbor. I said before that Australian, yeah. Australia, what they do is that they their share, agricultural share on GDP is only 3% actually. But what they do is that they increase the share through the processing, through the innovation, through the technologies, and they increase become 13. So it's mean we can increase also the productivity of our agricultures, in the meaning of economics, yeah, productivity. So we can do it through innovations. We cannot only produce raw materials, but also we have to produce the derivative product from the agriculture side. Say like, okay, in the case of cassava, in Thailand, what they do is that they produce only about, similar with Indonesia, 20 million ton per year of cassava. But because of the technology, they can export so many things, not only tapioca, but they export so many derivatives products from them. So that's why then they can something like, okay, provide, sorry. So the meaning of innovation is very, very important for us. Okay.
Yeah.
I get problem. My phone.
Okay, you want to continue, Professor?
Yeah. Of course, it's very important because this one is very good question.
Yeah.
And okay, Professor Komara said that maybe we will fight with very big countries. In the case of okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Okay.
Okay. And then say, okay, we can produce a lot of things, and we have market actually in our country. And if we then shift the type of how people consume, it will be very good for our economic condition. Say people now consume sugar, yeah, crystal sugar, come from sugarcane. But actually, we can convert tapioca from cassava to become we call fruit sugar. Yeah, we can convert that one. But the problem is that people doesn't want consume fruit sugar. Yeah, that is the problem. So government should drive people to consume the fluid sugar. And what happens is such thing is occurs. So it means that the demand of fluid sugar will increase. And of course, people will produce more tuber, cassava tuber. And then we can stop our import of sugar. Something like that one. So we have to do this thing. And we have to start right now. If we not start, so it will be problem. Thank you for me. Sorry, many.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Subagio. So Bapak and Ibu, I think we almost come to the end of the sessions, but I would like to ask Yumiko, Professor Subagio, and also Professor Komara to share some concluding remarks. I think 2 minutes each. Particularly for Professor Komara, we would like to hear your opinion regarding to what extent is actually development partners in Indonesia has been working to promote monitoring and evaluation to ensure food security in Indonesia. Perhaps, maybe starting from Yumiko, then Professor Subagio and Professor Komara. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rumi. This was great learning for me. Thank you, Professor Subagio. I'm interested in the food and agriculture, food securities. Yeah, but as often monitoring evaluation tend to be very neutral, you know, with numbers and then trend analysis. But when contextualized, really interesting. So I learned so much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to learn more from you and the Indonesian experience, and then I will try to bring more experience from the other regions, trying to connect. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Yumiko. Yes, Professor Subagio, please.
Thank you. Again, this is a very good event. A very nice event. We can meet each others and share the ideas. And from Yumiko, of course, I learned a lot about the current situation, including in India. And of course, that one is very good information. And some question is very critical situations. Again, we have to make that situation is going better. The current situation is very not the worst, I mean, but still in the so and come to down if we thought any action. And the MONEV strategies, methodologies, of course, is very important to make sure that everything going well. And again, I'm very thankful to be here. Thank you. Thank you,
Professor. Now, Professor Komara.
Thank you, Mbami. Actually, I just like to listen actually, and also to learn. But if you push me, I think this topic is very, very important for Indonesia, because I think everybody's here. We do have a kind of maintain the stability of the so-called food balance, like Pak Prof. Subagio, neraca pangan.
Yes.
But I think you have also to be dynamic, not to be static in the sense that everything in your regions, production and consumption coming from your regions. I think the local trade, the provincial trade, well, even the international trades can play a big, a big player to have your provincial level is in stability. Otherwise, Pak Gubernur, Pak Bupati, or Pak going to be sick if they are kind of disaster of hunger, for example. So I think besides we encourage the production of the local production, any food you have, any food you're suitable with your area, that's one thing. But also don't forget about the logistical issues, about the domestic or provincial trade relation, and so on and so on. And I think, I don't know whether some of you is familiar with the so-called tim pengendalian inflasi daerah.
BPID.
Forgot. Yeah. Right, something like that. And there is a kind of good indicator every month, especially led by Bank Indonesia, local Bank Indonesia, especially about food price. And because food price increase, if they are so huge increase, then inflation is increased. And colleague from Bank Indonesia, especially for some economists, is very, very scary on that indicator, inflation. So that's why poverty going to be increased. In that situations, I think you have to open our eyes.
Professor, I think your voice
on the domestic rate. Okay, hi.
Okay, yeah, it's well now. It's good now.
Okay, yeah, I think if the inflation is increased, food price increase, and then the local food stabilization is kind of deficit, for example, and then open local trade is very important. So that's why asking Ministry of Trade and also Minister of Finance to jump in. But what I'm, after listening Professor Subagio, is I think the difficult things is how to encourage, how to make a kind of situations that local production is with us in the sense that there are enough incentive, there is enough system of local trade, and then the production is always increased. Say, for example, I read from the chat, well, even fertilizer, for example, sometimes a lot of problem. So I think I agree with Professor Subagio. We a lot of homework for production base of food, because this is very important, and so that's why monitoring of food situation is very important.
But actually, Professor Komara, according to your observation, to what extent do you think development partners here in Indonesia has been supporting the government to promote monitoring and evaluation, like the one shared by Yumiko, the best practice from India, for instance?
Yeah, but Yumiko already saying to us that because Indonesia is on the middle income group of country, so what should I say? The content of partnering for development is more on capacity building, but I think on monitoring and development still very important in risky area. Yeah. Say for example like Papua and NTT. Java is you are lucky. Japanese because everything is in Java, but in Halmahera, in Maluku, but I'm glad, for example, now is Pak Subagio pasti dengar mengenai sorghum.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is new fancy. I think we have to explore that, and we have to support, because sorghum is probably to some extent is close to, what's that, gandum? I don't know. Prof Subagio,
Yeah. So Professor Komara, most of the audience now are coming from South Sulawesi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They have sagu. They have sagu a lot, Prof.
So that's
sagu
why, yeah.
so much.
Ya, kita mesti dorong gitu. Kita mesti
Yes.
That's, I think in a certain area, monitoring is very important. In the big area, in urban area, well, I think relatively rich. But in the remote area, Indonesia is so wide, not like Japan. Japan is communication between regions is very, very good. Right? So,
Prof. Komara,
very important. Yes, Pak.
Yeah, I think the most important is the availability of dynamic data.
Oh,
yeah, that is very important for us.
But the problem is, Ministry of Trade doesn't responsible to the local and regional.
So say like about 3 months ago, I have meeting with Wantanas, Dewan Ketahanan Nasional, and then we talking about crisis on food because of pandemic. And at the time, we have also guests from
Ministry of Trade.
Yes, Ministry of Trade. And then they said that they have actually parameters to calculate what happened for 3 months, next 3 months, 1 year, everything. They have such kind of tools. They have it. And then when I asked about, give me examples, and especially in the soybean, because I understand about soybean a little.
Yes.
And then what they said that we already predict that in this year, the rice and the price of soybean in Indonesia will very, very high. They actually know before. So because of in that time, China bought so big amount of soybean because of actually China is another topic. China, because of success of corn program, they switch the soybean area to be the corn, the maize field. So the productions of soybean decreased so much. So they buy a lot of soybean from US. So that's why the Minister of Trade actually know that the price will increase so much. But the problem is why such kind of thing is not become sign like early warning system or something.
Yeah, this should be public domain.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Komara and also Professor Subagio. I think this is very an interesting discussion with these burning topics. So, but because we have a very limited time now, I think we can continue the discussion later in a more advanced session, Pak.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Because we also can share like the latest development about Satu Data Indonesia, One Data Indonesia, which is I don't know to what extent is the involvement of local government or universities to participately develop this, and to what extent this will contribute to better monitoring and evaluation practices in Indonesia. So, Bapak and Ibu, Yumiko, Professor Subagio, and also Professor Komara, thank you so much for sharing your insight, knowledge, and new skill. So we hope that what we have just learned, including a case in South Sulawesi presented by Pak Andi, will inspire us to use evaluation as a key evidence for better policy design and also implementation, as well as to avoid repeating mistake and to promote success. Great, I think so. We also cover most of the questions. I'm so sorry we cannot take all the questions, to Ibu Rose from Sulawesi, but perhaps later we can discuss further to through private conversations. Bapak and Ibu and ladies and gentlemen, now I will give the mic to Pak Andi and Pak Iwan for closing. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Ya.
Warahmatullahi
Monggo.
wabarakatuh.
Ya, monggo Mas Iwan and Pak Andi for closing.
Pak Andi, please.
Mas Iwan, perhaps you can start first.
Okay, closing remarks, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we come to the closing part of today's seminar. We will share the material via Google Drive as well as the electronic certificate. We arrive at the end and closing session of our seminar today. May we all be healthy, maintain health protocols. MONEV Studio is preparing a 2021 MONEV seminar with a more interesting, relevant, and useful theme. Before we close, let's take a picture together and see you at the upcoming MONEV Studio seminar. See you there is seminar and the next event for MONEV Studio with more interesting and relevant theme. Thanks for all presenters, Mr. Andi Darmawan Bintang, Professor Ahmad Subagio, Mrs. Yumiko Kanemitsu, Professor Komara, and also Ms. Umihani, and all ladies and gentlemen, thanks for all participation. Thank you, goodbye.
Okay, Bapak dan Ibu, please turn off your video for taking picture.
Bapak Ibu, mohon nyalakan videonya, kita foto bersama. Profesor Komara mana?
Sudah live paling.
Oh, oke.
Oh, ada Mbak Prima juga.
Oke, 1, 2, 3, smile. Oke, next slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so is Pak Andi here, or we can just close this event? Okay, so I think it's been a very interesting session today. Thank you, Bapak Ibu. We hope you stay healthy and take care. I hope everyone can go through this pandemic in a well situation. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you. Yumiko-san,
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye Yumiko.
Bye Yumi.
Bye bye.
Ya, bye Profesor
Umi.
Subagio. Terima kasih banyak Profesor.
Sama-sama. Sama-sama.
Pak Roman, terima kasih.
Pak Andi. Ya.
Pak Rahman, salam kenal, terima kasih. Ibu Kiki.
Yumi.
Pak Sakir, Ibu Nur Wahida.
Izin live ya.
Iya Pak, terima kasih.
Bye-bye.
Ya Prof, terima kasih.
Banyak Prof.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Terima kasih Ibu Nur Wahida, Pak Sakir, Ibu Dipa, Ibu Hesti aktif sekali. Terima kasih. Ibu sendiri ya dari Bali? Iya, sehat selalu ya Bu Hesti. Iya. Terus dari Musirawas dengan Bapak Ibu siapa? Iya Bu Hesti.
Bu Bi, terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Ibu Hesti dari dinas apa ya?
Dinas Sosial.
Oh iya, mantap.
Bu Nur Ratna.
Bu Nur Wahida, makasih. Dari Balitbangda Provinsi. Sehat-sehat ya Bu Nur Wahida, Bu Hesti.
Terima kasih, Mbak.
Ya, kami pamit dulu ya Bapak Ibu. Sehat-sehat.